First at 9 this Saturday, the 30th of August 2025. Extradited. 5 notorious underworld kingpins, including KL Baddarapatne, arrested in Indonesia, arrive in Sri Lanka. Backhoe Saman's wife detained by CID. Justice for the missing. Families of missing persons in the north and east staged protests demanding justice for their loved ones on International Day of the Victims of Enforced Disappearances. Minister of Justice and National Integration Harshana Nanayakara pledges a new reparation formula moving beyond one-time payments.
Tears have flown too much, blood too much. It's time to solve it. My government will stand by what we say.
Buckle up. Seatbelts mandatory for passengers of expressway buses from September 1st.
Asian Paint Causeway Aquasafe මිලදීගෙන LED TV run voucher ඇතුළු තවත් හැකි රසක් දිනා ගන්න.
This is Derana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to Derana First at 9, Sri Lanka's most trusted news source. I'm Tatyara Nayaka, joining you live with the latest in Sri Lanka and around the world. We begin with your top story. The Minister of Justice and National Integration Harshana Nanayakara says government will introduce a new reparation formula for families of missing persons, moving beyond one-time payments to long-term support. The minister made this assertion yesterday during a commemorative event organized in view of the International Day of the Victims of Enforced Disappearances, which falls today. Meanwhile, today, families of missing persons in the north and east staged protests demanding justice for their missing loved ones. On the occasion of the International Day of the Victims of Enforced Disappearances, which falls today, Tamil people from the north and east staged a protest march from Kittu Park, Jaffna to Chemmani, demanding justice for their missing relatives. The event was attended by General Secretary of the Tamil United Liberation Front, Ananda Sangari, and former Member of Parliament M.K. Swachalingam. Meanwhile, an event themed honouring victims and supporting their families, jointly organised by the Ministry of Justice and the Office of Missing Persons in commemoration of International Day of the Victims of Enforced Disappearances, was held yesterday at Temple Trees.
බලන් ඉන්නවද මම මරණේ දැක්කේ නැහැ මරණ සහතිකය බලෙන් දුන්නේ එතකොට අපි මිනිහ දකින්න එතකොට කොහොමද කියන්නේ යා මරුණයි කියලා.
This year's excavation of mass graves where human skeletal remains including of children have been recovered expose the magnitude of past abuses. A credible, transparent and independent investigation which uncover facts and provide closure to families is crucial. Closure is a prerequisite to healing, justice and reconciliation.
I am speaking here as a member of a party with thousands of members who went missing and as a person with experience of that pain. The establishment of a state entity to serve justice to JV peers, LTTE members, members of other non-related organizations, non-affiliated social activists and even innocent people who had no connection to any of these, who were hunted down in a repulsive environment of terror, is a victory of sorts. In the future, the Ministry of Justice and the NPP government will provide maximum support to further this process. These crimes are not isolated occurrences but incidents which took place within a certain social, economic and political context. The conditions that led to such tragedies cannot be altered through mere punishment. A true truth commission must be established so that the people can be made aware of the truth of all these crimes and they can be put to bed.
For truth and reconciliation, we had engagement with the UN Resident Coordinator of a possible national plan with regard to the matter. The Prevention of Terrorism Act will be abolished. By September, the committee will be able to bring in a new draft. We owe the families of the disappeared not charity but justice. The new reparation formula will move beyond one-time payments to provide long-term support, combining fair financial compensation with education, livelihood and opportunities and psychosocial care and the restoration of dignity. By ensuring transparency and accountability, we seek not only to heal the wounds but also to strengthen trust, reconciliation and our shared future. These problems we did not create. Our government is rather victims of this problem, at least in 88-89. So we are a part part of it. We have to solve it. It cannot be dragging on. We don't know everything. The best experts are outside. So let's open up and get things done. Tears have flown too much, blood too much. It's time to solve it. And I, as a Minister of Justice, and my government will stand by what we say.
The 5 notorious underworld kingpins, including Kehel Badura Padme and Commando Salintha, who were arrested in Jakarta, Indonesia through a joint operation by the Sri Lankan and Indonesian National Police, were deported to Sri Lanka today and arrived at the Bandaranaike International Airport under the supervision of the police personnel dispatched to Indonesia for the special mission which led to their apprehension. Meanwhile, Bako Saman's wife, who was also arrested along with the criminals, was deported last evening and was later detained by the Criminal Investigation Department for further questioning.
The Sri Lankan Airlines flight carrying the 5 infamous underworld kingpins arrested in Jakarta, Indonesia on Thursday, including Kehel Badara Padme, Commando Salintha, Kudu Nilanga, also known as Panadura Nilanga, Bako Saman and Thabili Lahiru, was scheduled to depart for Sri Lanka at around 1 p.m. today. However, the departure was delayed by an hour and the flight, which was initially scheduled to arrive in Sri Lanka at around 5:30 p.m., touched down at around 7:30 p.m. this evening. A special team of officers attached to the Criminal Investigation Department, a team of Police Special Task Force personnel, and a group of police officers were dispatched to the airport to receive custody of the criminals. The 5 arrestees were deported to Sri Lanka under the supervision of a group of officers, including the 2 assistant superintendents of police, Rohan Olugala and Mahinda Jayasundara, who were dispatched on the special operation to apprehend the criminals. A team of personnel of the Indonesian National Police also arrived in Sri Lanka. The officer in charge of the Western Province North Crime Division, Chief Inspector Linton Silva, who received threats from Kehel Badara Padme, was also present at the airport. Meanwhile, the wife and 3-year-old child of Bako Saman, who were also taken into custody during the operation, were deported last evening and were taken into custody by the Criminal Investigation Department upon their arrival at the Bandaranaike International Airport. After recording preliminary statements, the CID Airport Unit handed over the arrestees to the CID headquarters in Colombo for further investigations. The Criminal Investigation Department revealed that the woman was detained for having direct ties with large-scale drug traffickers. Upon further questioning, the suspect has revealed that she travelled to Indonesia last July after departing for Dubai from Sri Lanka in 2023. Meanwhile, the Illegal Assets Investigation Division revealed that Kehel Badara Padme has purchased property in Sri Lanka worth around 100 million rupees through unlawfully accumulated profits. The Illegal Assets Investigation Division has also launched a probe into the unlawful assets in Sri Lanka owned by the other criminals arrested alongside Padme. Investigation officers revealed that measures will be taken to freeze all the assets uncovered through the investigations.
රුපියල් 8900ක මාසික වාරිකයකට brand new TVS Excel 100 යතුරුපැදියක් ගන්න.
A Gazette notification containing regulations mandating the wearing of seatbelts for passengers travelling in passenger transport buses on expressways is scheduled to be issued tomorrow. Accordingly, it will be mandatory for passengers of expressway buses to wear seatbelts from the 1st of September. The relevant decision was announced during a meeting of the Ministerial Consultative Committee on Transport, Highways, Ports and Civil Aviation, chaired by Minister of Transport Bima Ratnayake. Speaking during the meeting, the minister revealed that this initiative is being implemented as a key component of the Clean Sri Lanka National Initiative. As per the recommendations of the committee, a grace period of 3 months will be given for the installation of seatbelts in school transport buses, vehicles providing office transport services, leisure tour buses and other passenger buses operating on expressways. The government plans to implement this regulation for long-distance buses in the near future as well. Meeting with the private sector stakeholders of the tourism industry yesterday, President Anur Dissanayake announced that a new initiative to transform presidents' residences and ministers' official bungalows in tourism hotspots into holiday resorts for tourists will be launched in the near future. The president also met with private sector representatives from the agriculture and food and beverage sectors yesterday, where he asserted the government's plans to incentivize export diversification and value-added products. At the pre-budget discussion with private sector stakeholders of the tourism industry,
The President emphasized the need for a new strategic program jointly implemented by both the public and private sectors, while pointing out that mere promotional programs would not suffice to achieve the expected tourism targets for 2026. The President announced that a new initiative to transform President's residencies and Ministers' official bungalows located in areas such as Nuwara, Anuradhapura, Mahiyangane and Kataragama into comfortable holiday resorts targeting foreign tourists will officially commence in the near future and invited entrepreneurs to invest in the initiative. During the discussion, the attendees highlighted existing shortcomings and challenges faced by the tourism industry, while the President requested entrepreneurs to present their proposals for the advancement of the sector. Meanwhile, meeting with private sector representatives from the agriculture and food and beverage sectors yesterday, President Anura Dissanayake stated that incentives will be introduced to encourage export diversification and the development of value-added products. The meeting focused on providing facilities for farmers, exports, tax concessions, recycling, and the legal environment affecting the sector. The President further explained that the government is focusing on securing full private sector support to expand markets for agricultural produce, dairy and livestock products. In the meantime, Secretary to the President, Dr. Nandika Sanatkumar Nayaka, met the chair of Transparency International, Francois Valerian, yesterday, during which Valerian commended the government's initiatives, particularly the establishment of internal affairs units within public institutions to prevent corruption, as well as measures introduced under the Clean Sri Lanka program. He underlined the importance of sustained collaboration between government and civil society in advancing anti-corruption goals and reaffirmed Transparency International's commitment to supporting Sri Lanka through continued partnership.
Opposition leader Sajith Premadasa claims that farmers have become helpless due to the short-sighted agricultural policy of the current government. The opposition leader stated this during a discussion held on farmer issues in the Polonnaruwa district.
A special meeting was held in Polonnaruwa today under the patronage of opposition leader Sajith Premadasa to examine the problems faced by the farming community in the Polonnaruwa district.
With the current government's short-sighted agricultural policies, the agricultural sector has plunged into a disastrous state. When the ministers of this government were in the opposition, they made a lot of noise demanding a 140 to 150 rupee guaranteed price for paddy. Now, having gained power, they have completely forgotten what they once said. They have also forgotten how they used to join the farmers in the fields, listening to their concerns. If they won the votes of the farming community by making promises, they must now fulfill those promises. But they have forgotten, though we have not. They even promised to pass a law in parliament regarding guaranteed prices. Now all of that is forgotten. Everything they say is a lie, and everything they do is a lie.
After the meeting, farmers presented several of their problems to the opposition leader.
Savajana Bale leader MP Dilip Jayavira says the current government is seriously suppressing democracy in the country. He made this statement while speaking at an event in Tangol.
The formation of the Sarvajana Sabha in the Danketiya division of Tangol took place today under the patronage of party leader parliamentarian Dilip Jayavira.
In the past, despite its shortcomings, the country always made space for democracy. However, as of today, democracy has been severely repressed. When the public begins to sense that their voices are being suppressed, it is only a matter of time before they rise up to speak out. Sarvajana Balaya is a party that has the strength and resolve to resist this oppression without bowing down to the will of the oppressor. Ranil, along with Anura Kumara, staged a drama. I read in the newspapers that Ranil insisted the jailers handcuff him for the cameras. Despite their objections, he pushed for it so that pictures could be taken. The relationship between Ranil and Anura is lifelong, spanning from 2008 to the present day. Unfortunately, political giants who have fallen from grace have now come together to form a joint opposition with Ranil. But for what purpose? To oppose Anura Kumara. It is important to recognize that these two have always been allies. Sarvajana Balaya will create the broadest political movement Sri Lanka has ever seen. We are committed to creating an honest party rooted in integrity without the scandals, corruption or fraud that have marred the country's political history.
With that, here's a look at some more thoughts shared in the political arena today.
Ranil was remanded under the Public Property Act introduced by them. None of these acts belong to the NPP. The Criminal Procedure Code is not ours. The Penal Code is not ours, and the Public Property Act is not ours. These are all part of the country's common law. We are operating according to policy. The Bribery Commission has made a request due to a high number of complaints to establish a separate court to handle their cases. The Minister of Justice has been made aware of this request and has been urged to make arrangements to refer Bribery Commission cases to a separate court. Is this a good or a bad idea? We have not confused our duty as the government with that of the NPP as a political party. Until now, they used political power to bend the law. But now, without using political power, the law is being enforced fairly. So, we have no personal issues with anyone to take political revenge. When stealing, one should remember that when things are revealed, this is what happens. That's why everyone should take this as a lesson. If the law is being enforced fairly, how are proceedings against Minister Vasantha, the Mayor of Kaduwala and Deputy Minister Mahinda Jayasinghe proceeding before the Mount Lavinia Court the way they are? It is evident that the government is handling these cases in different ways. The cases against them are being heard correctly, and if guilty verdicts are reached through legal proceedings, it will be based on the accusations they face and the evidence supporting those claims. Everything will be decided in accordance with the law. If fraud has occurred, there is no distinction between the government and opposition. Everyone is subject to the law.
Secretary to the Ministry of Health, Dr. Anil Jayasinghe, asserts that the government plans to bring in human resource reforms to cater to healthcare needs tied to child abuse and violence against children. He made these comments during the inauguration of the second Lama Pesa Child Rehabilitation Centre, which aims to provide a safe haven to child victims of abuse and violence. Meanwhile, Roshan Mahanama, the main patron of the initiative and chairman of the Roshan Mahanama Trust, noted that 6,300 cases of violence against children were reported last year, and such innocent victims must be protected through initiatives such as Lama Pesa. The second Lama Pesa, a rehabilitation centre for children who had suffered from abuse, was inaugurated in Galle recently. The rehabilitation centre was established by the Roshan Mahanama Trust in collaboration with the Sri Lanka College of Paediatricians and the National Hospital Galle. The first Lama Pesa rehabilitation centre was established in Ragama.
The Roshan Mahanama Trust is not stopping here. Building on this success, we are now preparing to establish the third Lama Pesa in the northern province with land already identified at the teaching hospital in Jaffna, and we have raised almost 40% that we need for that project. Our long-term vision is to extend Lama Pesa to all 9 provinces of Sri Lanka, ensuring that every child in need has a right to a safe and nurturing environment. The urgency of this work cannot be overstated. Preliminary statistics for 2024 reveal over 6,300 reported cases of violence against children. Each number represents a child, a life that must be protected, healed, given the opportunity to flourish.
The initiative will not only support the physical recovery of the children, but also ease the emotional burden of illness by creating an environment of care, comfort and hope. Let us not forget that the true strength of our nation lies in the health and well-being of its people, particularly its children. By investing in space like Lama Pesa, we are investing in healthier, brighter and more compassionate future for Sri Lanka.
This needs services of many experts, many middle-level officers. In fact, right now we are undertaking kind of a human resource reform. We are talking about it. That is to cater to areas like this, because there are certain categories of cadre. We can call them they are dying because they are old cadres and now they are not necessary. But then with the epidemiological and demographic transition, we have new problems, more problems, and they need new cadres. So that's what we are trying to do right now.
The next province we plan to go to with the Roshan Mahanama Trust is Jaffna for the third Lama Pesa. previously. Plans are already underway. 1,542 children have gone through Lama Piyasa Ragama in the 10 years since its inception. Every child has had the benefit of multi-sectoral team involvement and is followed up as long as it's necessary. A 24/7 hotline is available, a database is maintained, and we know that a large number of children have benefited from our intervention. I urge one and all involved in the management at the National Hospital Galle to ensure that the safety net of multidisciplinary and multi-sectoral management is ensured for each and every child who comes.
Welcome back to First at 9. Now taking you to business news, Sri Lankan Airlines is set to mark its 46th anniversary on the 1st of September, reflecting on its legacy as a key ambassador for Sri Lankan hospitality. Recognized for its excellence, Sri Lankan Airlines has garnered numerous accolades in 2025, including Best People's Airline of the Year, Outstanding Food Service in South Asia, and Silver in Best Regional Airline. In commemoration of the 46th anniversary, the airline is offering discounts and incentives to passengers during the first 2 weeks of September. Throughout September, Sri Lankan will also host a series of special programs for staff, including religious services to invoke blessings on the airline. The third and final day of the Kandy Breeze Night Market Festival, launched to boost tourism in Kandy City, kicked off at 7 p.m. tonight. This vibrant market festival showcases a variety of stalls and features live musical performances, adding to the festive atmosphere.
The Central Provincial Council and Kandy Municipal Council have collaborated to launch Kandy Breeze, a vibrant night market festival in Kandy City aimed at promoting tourism. The inaugural event took place on the 16th of August on Dalada Vidya, Colombo Vidya and Kotugodalla Vidya right in the heart of Kandy. Held under the patronage of Central Province Governor Professor Sarath Abekon, the event saw a large turnout with participants including members of parliament, artists and other prominent figures. A week later, the festival once again lit up the streets of Kandy on the 16th of August. The festival commenced for the final time at 7 p.m. this evening and featured an array of stalls along with live musical performances, adding to the festive ambience.
Welcome back to First at 9. Taking you to international news, a divided U.S. appeals court ruled yesterday that most of Donald Trump's tariffs are illegal, challenging his use of them as an economic policy tool. The court allowed the tariffs to remain in place until October 14th, giving the Trump administration time to appeal to the Supreme Court. The decision focuses on tariffs imposed during Trump's trade war with China, Canada and Mexico. Trump criticized the ruling, calling the court highly partisan, and predicted a reversal with the Supreme Court's help. The case highlights ongoing legal battles over Trump's economic policies, including the Federal Reserve's independence. The U.S. State Department announced that Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas has been blocked from attending the UN General Assembly session in New York next month after he and 80 other Palestinian officials had their visas revoked. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio blamed them for undermining peace efforts and for seeking the unilateral recognition of a conjectural Palestinian state.
Rubio said Palestinian representatives at the UN mission in New York could attend the meetings in accordance with the UN Headquarters Agreement, the document that regulates issues regarding the UN operations in the US. It is unclear, however, if the US move to deny or revoke visas complies with that document, which outlines that foreign officials' attendance in New York shall not be impeded irrespective of the relations between their respective governments and the US. The Palestinian ambassador to the UN had earlier said that as head of its delegation, Abbas would be attending the meeting of heads of state and government in New York. Abbas's office said it was astonished by the visa decision, which stands in clear contradiction to the international law and the UN Headquarters Agreement, particularly since the State of Palestine is an observer member of the United Nations. It urged the US to reverse the move. Hamas has been running the Gaza Strip for years, with its rival Palestinian Authority led by Abbas in charge in the West Bank. But even in the West Bank, the PA has struggled to govern, faced with rival groups and Jewish settlement expansion. Abbas is also in charge of the Palestine Liberation Organization, the umbrella organization which represents Palestinians at international fora. In his announcement yesterday, Rubio said before the PLO and the PA can be considered partners for peace, they must consistently repudiate terrorism, including the October 7 massacre, and end incitement to terrorism in education as required by US law and as promised by the PLO.
That's over tonight from First at 9. Thank you. Have a great night.